let's get it done. Okay, so welcome to another video by Johnny. Chào mừng các bạn một video khác của Johnny nha các bạn. So in this video, I'll be doing the test practice part, which is the last part of Unit 12, Information Technology, in the book Cambridge Vocabulary for IELTS with Answers by Pauline Keelan. Ở video này mình sẽ làm cái phần test practice, tức là cái phần cuối cùng của cái bài số 12, Information Technology, công nghệ thông tin á, Information Technology. Và đây là cuốn sách Cambridge Vocabulary for IELTS, tức là cuốn từ vựng IELTS cơ bản á, của tác giả là Pauline Keelan. Thì các bạn nên là làm cái bài số 12, học bài 12 kỹ rồi hẳn làm cái test practice này nha. Có thể là các bạn ngồi đứng trước gương, mình thử mình nói những cái câu hỏi này và dựa vào những cái từ mình đã học được từ những bài trước đó. So you can please learn the other lessons carefully, and then before you attempt to do the speaking part yourself, you can try to use words and expression that you have already learned. Ráng sử dụng những cái cách biểu đạt và những từ vựng mình đã học từ những bài trước nha các bạn. Okay, so I have put a few things for you. I'll put like sample answers here for you, so you can learn words and expression and how to answer these speaking question. Okay, mình có cho một số cái câu trả lời mẫu như thế này. Okay, let's start now. Speaking test part 1. There's a tip here. Test it. Nó có một cái test tip ở đây. Ask a friend to help you practice. Stick to the time limit and record your interview. Give as much information as you can for each answer. Các bạn có thể yêu cầu một người bạn của mình để mà giúp các bạn luyện tập. Nhớ làm sao mà mình phải theo sát cái thời gian mà giới hạn nha. Và ghi âm bản thân mình lại. Hoặc là ghi hình hay ghi âm gì đó. Cái buổi mà trò chuyện đó. Các bạn cho mỗi một câu trả lời, cho mỗi một câu hỏi thì đương nhiên các bạn cũng nên là nói dài nhất có thể, cho nhiều thông tin càng có thể cho từng câu trả lời nha. Alright, so question number 1. Can you tell me about your hometown? Well, there is nothing much to talk about my hometown. I was born in Dalat, and it is in a mountainous area surrounded by pine trees and meadows. About the people, they are originally from the north of Vietnam, but in the past they migrated to this place and built the city with the help of the old government. Dalat is a quaint little city with crisp air and nice weather. That's the reason why it attracts many tourists coming from the nearby cities. Question number 2. What kind of things do you do on a typical day? Well, on a typical day, I normally wake up and have breakfast with my family. After that, I usually sit in front of my computer and work until evening time. Of course, I take a break once every 45 minutes or so to have a snack or drink tea. In the evening, I often go to the gym or to do physical exercises for roughly 1.5 hours. Then I head home to have dinner or hang out with some of my friends in the local cafe, or we call them coffee shop. Number 3. What form of transport do you usually use? I usually use my motorbike to commute to work, or just simply to travel to places. Sometimes when I have to go a long distance, such as a business trip, I usually take the airplane though. You know, here in Vietnam, every family had at least a motorbike, and if you do not have one, you might feel restricted in your movement, as walking in a crowded and polluted city might not get you far. Question number 4. What kind of things do you enjoy doing with your friends? As I have a small group of friends, I usually meet them for chatting and gossiping over a cup of milk tea at any popular beverage shops. We normally discuss trivial things such as celebrity stories, the latest trend in fashion, or electronic gadgets. But what I enjoy doing the most with them is painting. We could spend hours drawing on canvases and enjoy cold tapioca drinks together. Question number 5. What did you do last weekend? Well, last weekend I was busy preparing myself for the IELTS exam, and I had spent many hours reviewing my lessons and doing practice tests. So besides, I did not do anything else though. Question number 6. What are your plans for after this test? My plans? Well, I shall wait for the exam result and then cry to my close friends because I know that I haven't done so well in this test. Also, I think I will either sit the exam again in about a few months from now or just apply for a job position in a company near to my home. I need the cash in order to register for the retaking of this exam. Okay, so basically part 1, they would just ask you warm-up questions about like very popular topics, very personal topics, and you just have to answer like maybe 2 or 3 sentences. It's like warming up, you know. So they need you to answer it like naturally with a good pronunciation. That's it. I mean, you should basically part 1 just like for warming up. You should not use too many weird like difficult expression like part 3, you know. Cái part 1 đương nhiên là về cái speaking á. Part 1 người ta sẽ hỏi một số câu như vậy, nó về những cái chủ đề rất là thân thuộc, như là về bản thân các bạn, về nhà ở đâu hay gì đó, những chủ đề quen thuộc, và các bạn chỉ nên là nói khoảng 2 đến 3 câu thôi nha các bạn. Nói 2-3 câu trong một câu hỏi thôi. Thì người ta cần là test cái gì? Người ta cần kiểm tra cái gì của các bạn? Đương nhiên là kiểm tra cái phát âm, kiểm tra cái mức độ tự nhiên fluency, mức độ trôi chảy trong đánh vần, phát âm và nói chuyện của các bạn. Và chỉ có như vậy thôi. That's it. Các bạn đừng có xài những cái từ mà nó phức tạp, đau to búa lớn quá ở cái part 1 nha. Don't use too complex words in part 1, okay? It's not necessary, không có cần thiết như vậy đâu. Alright. For part 2, of course, they will ask you like a topic. They will give you a cue card. Part 2 người ta sẽ cho các bạn một cái thẻ, cái cue card. Nó bao gồm một cái chủ đề nào đó là các bạn nói. So they will give you a cue card and including question and hint on that question. And you have like 1 minute, which is 60 seconds, to think about what you have to say. And you will be given like a paper and pens you can write on it. Các bạn sẽ được cho là một cái tờ giấy cây viết để mà viết bên nó, và được 60 giây để mà suy nghĩ. Và các bạn chỉ có 1 đến 2 phút để trả lời cái chủ đề đó thôi. Quá 2 phút thì người ta sẽ stop các bạn lại để người ta còn có thời gian, người ta qua part 3 và thời gian dành cho những thí sinh khác nữa nha. Cho nên nếu mà các bạn bị người ta ngưng lại thì cũng đừng có lo. Người ta đã nghe đủ rồi để cho các bạn số điểm thì người ta mới ngưng các bạn lại. Đừng có lo. So basically in part 2, if you exceed the 2 minutes, of course you are given 1 to 2 minutes to talk about part 2, but if you are stopped by the examiner, it means that they have heard enough to give you a good band score. To give you a band score. And basically they stop you so that you can go to part 3, and they also do not have the whole day for you. Of course, they have other students waiting in line to take exam as well. Họ không có nguyên thời gian, nguyên cả ngày đâu để mà chờ các bạn trả lời xong, cho nên đương nhiên là quá giờ là người ta stop mình ngay và qua câu hỏi khác. Alright, so part 2, describe something you have bought recently. Describe something you have bought recently. Miêu tả một cái gì đó mà các bạn đã mua ở gần đây. You should say what you bought. Bạn mua gì? Bạn đã mua gì? Quá khứ nha. Be careful, this is past tense, okay? What it looks like. Nó nhìn như thế nào? Why you bought it? Tại sao các bạn lại mua nó? And say whether you are pleased with your purchase. Purchase. Và nói là nếu các bạn có hài lòng với cái sự mua sắm này không. Alright, after like 60 seconds or so, I came up with this answer. Sau 60 giây mình đã có câu trả lời này. Last week, I bought a smartphone from one of the largest malls in town, as my previous one broke down and I could not find anybody to fix it. It has a touch screen with Ultra HD display. Ultra HD display, a 16 megapixel camera at the back and a decent selfie camera in the front. The color is silver blue and it weighs just about 200 grams. It also has ergonomic design, so it fits onto my hand nicely. You know, when I first touch it, the retina scan function intrigued me, and the price was not too high either. So I chose it over many other competing products. And it also possesses the fast charge function, so I can be able to fully charge it within an hour or so, which is a really convenient thing for my fast-paced work life. Needless to say, I feel like this upgrade has been totally worth it, and I'm really pleased with this purchase, as it saves me time and makes my work more efficiently. That's it. You just need from 1 to 2 minutes. Vậy các bạn chỉ có 1 đến 2 phút để nói thôi, cho nên không cần phải nói quá nhiều. You do not need to talk too much. Stick to the hint, okay? That's my advice. Các bạn cứ bám theo mấy cái cue card, bám theo những mấy cái ý mà nó gợi ý nha. Đừng có đi quá xa, các bạn sẽ rất là dễ bị lạc đề, hoặc là dễ quá lố giờ. If you do not stick to the cue card, there's a high chance that you can go out of topic. And you might just waste time and then basically not answering everything perfectly. So be careful, okay? Stick to the cue card. Đương nhiên là cũng không cần phải theo tất cả những cái ý mà trong cái cue card nó yêu cầu. Nhưng mà khôn ngoan tốt hơn thì nên làm như thế, để mình nói chung là đừng có để bị lạc đề nha các bạn. So it's not like you have to follow every little thing in the cue card, including the hints, but it's wise to do so, okay? Alright, let's go to part 3. In part 3, of course, they will ask you much more difficult questions to boost your speaking band score up. So after part 1 and 2, they have already had an idea of how well you speak. But in part 3, the examiner would try to push or to boost your score to the maximum level that you could achieve. And of course, part two is to check your grammar, I think. Like past tense, future tense, something like that. Đương nhiên là cái part 3 là các bạn sẽ được, sau khi part 1, part 2 đã xong rồi, thì người ta cũng có trong cái đầu được một số cái ý tưởng về cái điểm, ban điểm các bạn rồi. Nhưng mà part 3 á, thì là đương nhiên là để làm boost, để mà làm tăng cái ban điểm lên cái mức cao nhất mà các bạn phải đạt được. Thì đương nhiên ta sẽ hỏi những câu hỏi rất là khó hơn. Đương nhiên nó đòi hỏi các bạn phải suy luận và trả lời một cách thông minh hơn, và dùng những từ phức tạp hơn, cách nói phức tạp hơn. So of course in part 3 you have to use more complex words and expressions, okay? In part 2 they only like test your grammar, which is your tenses, future tense and past tense. Part 2 thì nhiều khi nó chỉ kiểm tra cái thì tương lai với lại cái thì hiện tại, thì quá khứ gì đó thôi. Nhưng mà part 3 là các bạn đương nhiên phải xài những cấu trúc phức tạp hơn một xíu. Alright. In part 3 you should answer longer, okay? You do not have to answer as long as I do, of course. You do not have to answer as structured as I do. But hear me. When you answer long and structured, the examiner will be pleased because why? There's a structure to follow, so they understand it clearly what you are trying to say. Also, if you answer long, they will not have enough time to ask you more questions, and that is good for you, right? Cái bài số 3, Task 3 Part 3 thì nếu mà các bạn trả lời một cách có cấu trúc đàng hoàng và dài, đủ dài, thì người ta sẽ không có thời gian đủ để người ta hỏi thêm những câu khác, thì lại có lợi cho các bạn thôi. Và nếu mà có cấu trúc đàng hoàng thì cái người mà chấm thi á, người ta sẽ hài lòng. Người ta có thể cho điểm tốt hơn, tại người ta hiểu được rõ các bạn nói cái gì. Chứ nếu mình nói chuyện mà không cấu trúc xong rồi cứ ậm ừ á, người ta bực mình lắm, người ta dễ dàng cho điểm thấp hơn. Alright, so let's go to number 1. If you could buy any new gadget you wanted, what would you choose and why? Nếu mà anh chị hoặc các bạn có thể mua bất kỳ cái thiết bị nào mới mà anh chị muốn, thì anh chị sẽ chọn cái nào và tại sao lại chọn như vậy? There seems to be many items that I have in mind, and for sure they are equipped with the latest in technology and design. But you know, the cost might be a detrimental factor to think about. As I do not come from a wealthy background, I really would like to own a state-of-the-art gaming laptop from the local store that comes with the price tag of $6,499 US dollars though, or $6,499. The reason for my choice is simple. Such a device possesses the strongest microchip, a 15.6 inches display, 64 megabytes of RAM, Ultra HD display, a red, green, blue or RGB keyboard which sparkles when you type on it, a cutting-edge cooling unit, and the latest in artificial intelligence, which can be of great help in my design work as well as in gaming. Furthermore, the beast has the total weight of just 0.9 or 0.9 or 0.9 kilograms, which comes as a surprise to me. It must have been a revolutionary invention in space and weight saving though. Why would I spend a small fortune on such a gadget? Well, these items are built to last and to be able to endure heavy workload as well as a possible physical collision on the road when traveling. So, if I do have the financial means, I would definitely opt for it. Oh my god, this is bad. Question number 2. Do you think people today spend too much money buying new things? Why? Các bạn có nghĩ ngày nay con người ta sử dụng quá nhiều tiền để mua những đồ mới hay không? Tại sao? I think with the ever-growing consumerism and advertising, there can be no space for breathing when it comes to purchasing something new. With the push of a button, a curious average citizen could be able to get access to multiple websites selling products, and many cannot resist the urge to hoard. Thus, they might spend hours surfing the sites for their desired items. However, when finding something, the person might already put many accessory articles onto their shopping cart, which they would barely need. And the situation can only get worse when employees receive their monthly pay, as they often toss away their disposable income in the blink of an eye. Furthermore, the bank often offers services when consumers can just purchase and pay later, which aggravates the situation of impulsive purchase and can bankrupt many if they are not careful. So yes, I do think that people today spend too much financial resources on buying new things. Question number 3. Do you always want to buy the latest technology, or are you happy with an older model? Why? Anh chị có luôn luôn muốn mua những cái công nghệ mới nhất, hay là anh chị lại rất là ổn, rất là hạnh phúc với lại những cái model mà cũ hơn, những cái đời cũ hơn? Tại sao? Well, for me, I am not the kind of person who is tech savvy or an antique collector. In fact, sometimes I do opt for the latest equipment, but a lot of the time I'm quite satisfied with an older model of my gadget. For the first option, well, when it comes to work tools such as camera or laptop, I would definitely vote for the best items possible, since they play a vital role in my productivity and work quality. But that also depends on whether the newly released gadgets are worth the investment or not. Sometimes manufacturers just prioritize maximum profit over usability, and the new items are just, the reworked versions of the previous ones, with a few more unnecessary functions and a better look, of course. Or worse, the novel products might be more challenging for the user to get used to them. So that's why I think the second option is well justified in many cases. Question number 4. Why do you think older people struggle so much with new technology? Tại sao anh chị hay các bạn nghĩ là những người già lại phải chịu khổ, lại phải gặp khó khăn quá nhiều với lại những cái công nghệ mới? We are certainly living in an era of technological advancement, and the technology now evolves at an unparalleled pace, which confuses many, including the seniors. Also, scientifically speaking, after the age of 36, it is much more difficult for an average citizen to accept new concepts, objects, music, or technology in their life. Even the most open-minded people would have a hard time adapting to new equipment in their workplace, in the office, or at home. Taking the last 10 years as an example, my laptop was an old and slow one, which could only help me to work the documents, watch videos, and play simple games. But now, my recent one can multitask quite well, and I'm using a different operating system, which took me almost 2 months to adapt to. Also, we didn't have online teaching before, but now my teacher meets me on this virtual space on a daily basis. This new change might not be easy for the older people though, as my parents struggle just to sign in the chat room. Alright, question number 5. Are there any ways we could help them to adapt? Liệu có cách nào chúng ta có thể giúp họ để mà thích nghi hay không? I do believe that their inability to acclimatize to the new technology can only be dealt with by exposure to these novel items on a daily basis, with the help of the young, of course. In other words, family members should volunteer to teach their grandparents and parents how to use these devices with patience and respect. Gradually, the senior could catch up and might surprise us at how enthusiastic they are now that they have new tools at their disposal. I have seen 60-year-old ladies who started their own social media accounts, and after a few years they became quite addicted to it, posting pictures and tagging people like it's their second nature. Besides, my guess is that we should open classes for the seniors for the purpose of getting used to new technology. I have seen that in many developed countries, and so far their success intrigue me greatly. So I think that everything is possible once we help them to adapt. Question number 6. What changes in technology do you think we will see in the next 50 years? Anh chị nghĩ rằng chúng ta có thể thấy được những sự thay đổi nào về công nghệ trong vòng 50 năm tiếp theo? With the pace of current technology, I think it is safe to say that we humans would be colonizing Mars and possibly the cloud of Venus or the other planets in the next 50 years. And together with that, we will have developed much better space shuttles, interplanetary internet, or even teleport technology that will allow people to travel light years in just a matter of seconds. Does that sound science fiction? It might be, but if you think about what we have achieved since the 1960s until now, with the internet, space programs, and the advance of quantum physics, I think it is highly likely that we will have done so much more than in the next half a century. We will have done so much more than that in the next half a century. Think about sleep education, when lessons can be learned through dreaming and a kind of network for that, or the autodoc machine that has the experience and skill of a 200-year-old doctor, or a 3D printed food, drinks, and clothes. The list goes on. Question number 7, which is the last one here. Do you think we should always try to improve on existing technology, or are some things better as they are, and why? Anh chị nghĩ rằng chúng ta có nên luôn tìm cách cải thiện cái công nghệ hiện hữu, hay là cứ để cho mọi thứ như hiện tại thì tốt hơn? Well, I do have an impartial opinion on this. There is a saying that there's always room for improvement. So I do think that we humans should attempt to enhance current technology in order to be able to unlock or open door to new horizons in all fields of life, making life worth living and more comfortable. However, it seems that new technology comes with novel challenges as well, and I can think of one example. The advent of smartphones turned people into creatures that stare at a screen most of the time, even when they come face to face with each other in the restaurants or cafes, and that can only hurt social interaction. Think about children these days. Many suffer from the inability to express themselves properly and have zero interpersonal skill due to the fact that their parents let them play with those devices from a very young age of 1 or 2 and neglect the role of parenting. So sometimes I do think that it is better for smartphones. So sometimes I think it is better if smartphones were not invented at all. Well, for speaking, of course, you can use your own answer. There can be so many different choices. So this is just a sample answer from me, okay? Đương nhiên là speaking cũng giống như writing thì đương nhiên có thể có rất nhiều cái lựa chọn khác nhau rồi. Đây chỉ là một cái bài mẫu của mình thôi. Okay. Right, mình hy vọng phần trình bày của mình đã hữu dụng. Mình hy vọng phần trình bày của mình đã hữu ích với các bạn. Các bạn hãy nhấn vào like, chia sẻ video này, nhấn vào nút đăng ký kênh YouTube mình và cái nút cái chuông á, cái hình cạnh chữ đăng ký kênh nha, để được thông báo về những video mới nha các bạn. Và các bạn có thể follow theo dõi Facebook mình, nhưng mà nhớ đừng có kết bạn Facebook mình nha. Đừng kết bạn Facebook mình nha. Alright, I hope this video was helpful for you and was not too long. Please like this video, share my video with your friends. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel and press on the bell button next to it to get notified about my new uploads. And you can also follow my Facebook, but please don't add me on Facebook as friends, okay? Thank you and see you in my next video. Bye bye.